Tonight on Ctv3 News, Cabinet puts BTL Smart deal under the microscope as the stakeholders make their case. After hours before Cabinet, BTL chairman emerges to defend the $80 million speednet deal. And investigators expand probe into massive Belize riverfish kill as they await lab results. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Tuesday, August 11, 2026.
Money travels fast, so make sure you check it before you spend it. Here are 4 easy ways to know your money is real. Look, feel, tilt, and check. Look closely at your note by holding it to the light to see the watermark and the note value. Notice how the see-through image completes itself perfectly. Feel for authenticity. Run your fingers over the raised portrait and the bars on the edges. 1 bar for the $2 and up to 6 bars for the $100. Tilt the note to see the hidden value appear. Look for the moving images on the security thread and holographic shimmer on higher denominations. Check closely. Use UV light or a magnifying glass to find hidden images and microtext. Remember, handling counterfeit money is illegal. If you spot a fake, report it to the police immediately. Look, feel, tilt, and check. Know your money. Check it before you spend it. A message from the Central Bank of Belize.
In Belize, the Public Utilities Commission works every day amid the rhythm of economic activities to ensure homes, businesses, and communities have access to necessary utility services. Through regulations, the Public Utilities Commission powers progress, connect communities, encourage new ideas and bold innovation, manage consumer rights, guide change, and serves in the best interests of national development for a future that benefits us all. Every decision is informed by evidence and guided by regulations and the law. So if and when changes arise in any of Belize's utility sectors, including situations that may affect competition, regulations and laws allow the PUC to carefully assess those changes, ensuring consumers are treated fairly while maintaining a sustainable utility sector. The Public Utilities Commission, guided by the law, informed by evidence, working to ensure fair and sustainable utility services for Belize.
The first week we had it at Henry. Now this second week we're having it here at Georgetown Technical High School. Basically what we're doing is that we're trying to get youths involved in agriculture, especially because that is very important. We need it for food security, we need them to be sustainable. So we target them at a young age so that they can be able to incorporate whatever activity they're learning in their daily life, especially during the summer days, right? Regular summer camps would entail them probably to have some fun games outdoors and different other activities, but in terms of agriculture, we get them involved in different activities. For example, the whole week it's broken down in different activities. We had on Monday, we had horticulture, meaning that they had the opportunity to sow a seed, to do transplanting in a cover structure. On Tuesday, we taught them about livestock concept when it comes to New World screwworm, different livestock-related activities. Wednesday, beekeeping. Thursday, we focus on agro-processing, getting preparations when it comes to hands-on practice with healthy breakfast, healthy meals. And then on Friday, we wrap up with aquaculture.
I just wanted to see the different topics we were going to learn about to try to learn something. We were learning about beekeeping, and I learned a lot that in one bee box, they can be up to 80,000 bees. I've been having a lot of fun.
They are always excited. I mean, every day they come, you see a lot of sense of happiness and humor within them that they want to come to the agriculture summer program.
I'm very impressed with the amount of participants because we try to limit it to 50. I believe today we have almost 70. And so we're doing serious encouragement for the people. Because when I assumed the responsibility as Minister of Agriculture, I recognize that young people don't want to do agriculture anymore. They want to be in tourism or academics or something of that regard. But as a nation, agriculture is the backbone of any economy. So as the minister responsible, I want to do everything possible to encourage young people to go into farming.
Good evening. With your newscast, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7, I am Jaden Games. The government is preparing to decide on the controversial BTL Smart acquisition, but Cabinet will first hear from key stakeholders on both sides of the issue. A two-day consultation began today with the Belize Social Security Board and the Public Utilities Commission and also BTL presenting their positions to the Cabinet. Their submissions are expected to provide ministers with further insights into the financial, regulatory, and national implications of the proposed transaction. The second round of presentations is scheduled for Thursday, August 13th, when the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the BCCI, and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, the NTUCB, will make their case. Prime Minister John Briceño says the government wants to hear from all five stakeholders before making a decision.
What we have decided to do is today we asked BTL to come in and to give a deep dive into why is it that they believe that this merger is important for BTL and by extension the taxpayers of this country. We are the owners of the company. And we also asked Social Security to be able to come in and for them also to explain why is it that what they did is that they did not necessarily vote in favor, but they voted that they should go and I'm trying to remember the exact word that they used, but pretty much gave the green light to be able to, for their members to be able to proceed with approval at BTL. But as they made out the point, they said they can't decide for BTL, it's the board of directors that decide. Also, the Public Utilities Commission came in to be able also to explain to us the regulatory framework and to point out should this merger proceed, where under the Act it is covered, as it is covered under the Act. And they also pointed out to the Cabinet that they passed an SI where oil prices have been frozen until December of 2028. As they said that, then that would give them enough time to put the proper regulatory framework should there be a merger to have a better regulations to regulate the industry, just as what we do with BEL and also BWSL. Now the idea is now that we want to hear from everybody. So we have invited the NTUCB and the representative from NTUCB and from the chamber for them to come in. Hopefully they can come in on Thursday and for us, and so we can hear their views as to why they believe that the merger is not in the best interest of Belize and by extension the taxpayers.
Prime Minister Briceño also confirmed today that he will rescue himself from Cabinet's deliberations on the matter on Tuesday because of his brother's relationship with the Speednets, which is connected to the proposed acquisition.
The next step then would be then on Tuesday, when Cabinet will deliberate to see what they believe is again after getting all this information for them to make an informed decision. I have informed cabinet that on Tuesday, whenever that deliberation will start, I will step out of cabinet. As you know, it's no secret that my brother is one of the founders of SpeedNet, and as such, I think it would not. I do not. I believe that it would not be proper for me to be in the office. And so, pretty much, that's what we are. So.
The development comes as Belize's four social partner organizations have announced that they are now acting as a unified bloc. The BCCI, BNN, NIAB, and the NTUCB issued a joint statement this afternoon outlining their position on the acquisition.
Well, I mean, I respected their views. But we from the cabinet, we've made a determination that we're going to invite these two, because these are the two main entities that have been speaking about. The chamber as the business representative for the business community, and the NTUCB as representative for labor. So we want to hear from business and labor. And so I respect their position, but at the same time, I hope that we will support.
Asked about Thursday's meeting with the BCCI and UTNCB, the Prime Minister said that those organizations have been among the most vocal on the issue and were therefore invited to present directly to the Cabinet.
Well, I mean, I respected their views. But we from the cabinet, we've made a determination that we're going to invite these two, because these are the two main entities that have been speaking about. The chamber as the business representative for the business community, and the NTUCB as representative for labor. So we want to hear from business and labor. And so I respect their position, but at the same time, I hope that we will support.
Once all five stakeholders have been heard, the Cabinet is expected to deliberate on the matter at its meeting on Tuesday, August 18th. The government's position is expected to be announced following that meeting. BTL Chairman Mark Lizarraga also spoke to reporters today after the meeting. Mr. Lizarraga said the BTL board had faced a wide range of questions and believed it had provided satisfactory answers. He used the opportunity to defend the proposed $80 million transaction, addressing concerns about the purchase price, competition, regulatory approval, consumer rates, and the Prime Minister's family connection to the deal.
This is a business transaction that was contemplated way back from 2018. Personalities aside, this is strictly business, right? I understand that there's a
political dynamic to it.
There's a political dynamic to it, but we don't sit around a table discussing politics. We sit around a table trying to do what's best for the Belizean consumer who owns the company, and we believe that we can actually help that consumer to realize better returns on his investment that was made on his behalf, right? And he can benefit from decreased or improved services, because our country has a need to expand and to grow.
Key arguments made by the BTL chairman was that combining the country's two telecommunications network would make the industry more efficient and reduce the cost of maintaining duplicate infrastructure.
Our system is only holding 225,000. Smart has 100,000. Even after consolidation, we'll only be using 30-something% capacity of our system. Why have two systems? The electronics and the business that we're in right now, things become outdated every 5 to 7 years, and they're not cheap. Why should the country consumers pay for it, Consumers pay for having two systems, having two sets of fiber, two sets of towers, two sets of everything. All of these things make rate decreases difficult in this industry. The industry is inefficient. We're overcapitalized. So the savings from maximizing the capacity that we have will lend to all of the benefits.
The chairman also addressed concerns over the financial information BTL used to assess SpeedNet. Social partners have questioned why BTL relied on only 1 year of audited financial statements rather than the 5 years they have requested. Lizarraga said BTL did not simply accept SpeedNet's figures at face value. Instead, he said the company independently cross-checked the information using its own network data, including traffic patterns, customer usage, and revenue generated per customer.
Remember what we received was 1 year's audited financials. Okay, why? Because it tells us what they have now.
No.
1, 2, we are able to see through our switches, through our interconnections, how many customers they have that come over the switch. Because remember, the systems are interconnected. So we are able to say, you as a customer, you are valued to us so much. We are able to say who's prepaid, who's postpaid, right? And we know that for ARPU, per different type of customer is so much dollars. So we're able to
Why haven't we gotten to that point?
this transaction and the methods that were used are different. In this industry, it is internationally accepted that you can use this standard, net present value, etc. So again, what is most important for us is the cash flows because we have capacity. And not like if we buy them, we have to invest in a new this, new that. No. We can throw all of them on our system, right? So what's important to us, the cash flow. How much increase in revenue will we realize by having this extra 100,000 people on our system? And how much more efficient will both companies be by using one system instead of two? How can we increase our revenue base by taking all those duplicated towers and spreading them to areas where we don't have service, impacting the lives and the economy of those areas and having increased revenues because we have an expanded footprint now?
Another major concern surrounding the proposed acquisition is whether it could give BTL an unlawful monopoly over Belize's telecommunications sector.
Are illegal in a sense.
We're not going to be a monopoly.
Tell me, why would you say that?
Because the law provides for what they call an MVNO. Help me out here, MCO. But MVNO basically means you, Paul, want to open a telephone service for company Paul. You can come to BTL. You will use our network because we have capacity. And Paul brand could be one brand out there using our backbone. You could come up with your own telephone company. Anybody could do it.
Controlled by your system.
Yeah, not controlled. Services are provided by our national infrastructure, right? So that's a 1. 2, we have the reality is now most people communicate with data. Most of the communication are data. So we have other data.
On the financial terms of the transaction, Lizarraga confirmed that the negotiated purchase price stands at $80 million, although the deal remains subject to the completion of final due diligence. The amount, he said, would be repaid over approximately 4.2 years. The BTL Smart deal has been drawing major attention in the last couple of days, with growing concerns over what the proposed acquisition of SpeedNet Communications by Belize Telemedia Limited could mean for competition in Belize's communications sector. On Monday afternoon, social partner senators, representatives of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and members of the independent media met in Belize City to discuss their concerns and present a unified position on the proposed deal. The logistics for today's meeting had been in the works since last week as the groups moved to coordinate their response to the proposed acquisition. Krems TV Mose Hyde characterized the meeting as a renewal of their previous position, highlighting that the independent media has been raising concerns about the deal since June 2025.
The independent senators invite we to call this meeting the avoidance of doubt. They may need to know whether the independent media still have their position and then change their mind. I know I'm really certain why that come up, but I think after the meeting it's clear that our position remains as it has been for a time. In fact, a lot of the dissent on this acquisition started mid last year, and so it's kind of just setting out together this coalition dissent and opposition to the acquisition in light of what has taken place, and so we had a conversation around that.
And for the avoidance of doubt, what is that position?
Well, I have once or two times the same afternoon. The avoidance of doubt is that nothing no change, still the same. We oppose.
Nice. Now, so for the average person, why is a telecommunications monopoly bad?
I think we have the lived experience of seeing where absolute power and control of a monopoly. Because if we say monopoly, they're not the complete facts, you know. That one monopoly in the hands of absolute power. Where the government have the control. And we experience certain punitive measures because of positions we have taken. You're vulnerable, especially now, more so than ever. The importance of the technology to the kind of work where we do and how we reach our audiences and how content is distributed. We just really, and it's not just the only aspect of it, it's the leading aspect of it. It is unacceptable.
Today, the chairman of the BTL, Mark Lizarraga, pushed back against suggestions made by the independent media that BTL's control of SpeedNet could be used to pressure media organizations that are critical of the government.
Against the government of the day. Against the government of the day.
BTL is a professional company run by professionals. It's a private company that can be held liable, that can be subject to lawsuits. We're not in the business of pulling the plug.
I think also we would want to say that at the end of the day, this also we also are going to be subject to the PUC oversight.
Service level agreement.
Service level agreement. Yeah. So I think from that standpoint, that's where it is. That's how you're going to be protected. It's not one company, no rules. It's that the rules are going to be implemented in full.
Lizarraga further rejected claims that BTL had already moved to finalize the transaction without obtaining the necessary regulatory approval or completing the required consultations. He stressed that the company still needs approval from the Public Utilities Commission before the acquisition can actually proceed.
We can't do that. The law is very clear. We need to have the PUC's approval. We're not in the business of doing illegal stuff. So we will follow the process as is allowed.
Has to decide on?
No, because we have to be sure that we're happy that the process we're going through continues. And then when we have an agreement, we go to the PUC and say, this is what we have. We haven't landed there yet, Paul. We're still in the stages of working on warranties and representations.
Buyer protection.
Yeah, buyer, so that we can protect ourselves. So this it's unfortunate that this whole process was leaked prematurely for mischief, and it continues to be perpetuated like that for mischief. But I can assure you that we have a responsible board, a board that takes and management, right? That takes very seriously.
BTL has also committed to keeping rates frozen through December 2028, a point Lizarraga highlighted as part of the company's position on the impact the acquisition could have on consumers. The proposed SpeedNet acquisition now moves forward with several key issues still under scrutiny, including regulatory approval, due diligence, public concerns over competition, and the broader political questions surrounding the transaction. For now, Lizarraga says BTL has answered Cabinet's questions and remains confident in its case for bringing the two telecommunications network under one operation. Pressure is mounting against BTL's proposed acquisition of SpeedNet, with former PUP general election candidate Major Lloyd Jones becoming the latest prominent voice calling for the deal to be rejected. Jones, who contested the 2015 general elections for the People's United Party, has written to Orange Walk East area representative Kevin Bernard, urging him to oppose any government action that would facilitate the proposed transaction. In his letter, Jones calls on Bernard to vote, quote, on my behalf against any matter tabled at Cabinet regarding the patently reckless decision of BTL's board to buy SpeedNet, including any share purchase agreement. Jones argues that the proposed acquisition has generated widespread concern and questions why BTL's board is proceeding despite objections from several sectors of Belizean society. It escapes me why BTL has embarked up what, in my respectful opinion, is a crook's errand, despite the clear objections of the Belizean people, the NTUCB, and independent senators and the social partners, Jones wrote. He is also urging Bernard to take a firm position against the deal at every stage of the political process, not only at Cabinet. I therefore urge you to reject this decision by the board of BTL at Cabinet, in the House, and anywhere else the matter is raised, Jones stated. Jones's intervention adds another layer to the growing public debate over BTL's proposed purchase of SpeedNet, placing increased pressure on government representatives to take a clear position on the transaction. The former PUP candidate's appeal comes as opposition to the proposed deal continues to emerge from trade union representatives, independent senators, and other social partners, all of whom have raised concerns about the implications of the acquisition and the process surrounding it. Belize's four social partners are calling for a collective approach to upcoming discussions with government over the proposed acquisition of Smart, operated by SpeedNet Communications Limited by Belize Telemedia Limited, BTL. The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the BCCI, Belize Network of Non-Governmental Organizations, the BNN, National Evangelical Association of Belize, NEAB, and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, the NTUCB, said Tuesday that they are willing to engage Cabinet on the proposed deal, but stressed that all four organizations must be represented at any meeting. The position comes after government invited the BCCI and the NTUCB to meet with Cabinet on Thursday, August 13th. In a joint statement, the social partners acknowledged the invitation but said their organizations have been working together on the matter and should therefore participate as a unified group. The organizations also pointed to The organizations have also pointed to information they say has yet to be provided, including financial statements and independent valuation reports relating to the proposed transaction. According to the social partners, they must be allowed sufficient time to review and assess the requested information before entering substantive discussions with Cabinet. Government announced Tuesday that the Social Security Board, the Public Utilities Commission, the PUC, and BTL have also been invited to make presentations to Cabinet regarding the proposed acquisition. The government has said it intends to hear from the various stakeholders before considering the matter and is expected to announce its position after Cabinet meets on Thursday, August 18th. The proposed transaction involves BTL acquiring 100% of SpeedNet's shares for approximately $80 million. BTL's board granted preliminary approval for the acquisition earlier this month, with the transaction remaining subject to continued due diligence. The deal has drawn opposition from the social partners, who have raised concerns about transparency, competition, and whether the acquisition would serve the broader public interest. The groups have called for greater disclosure and regulatory scrutiny before the transaction proceeds. Meanwhile, the social partners welcomed the PUC's indication that it remains open to further discussions. However, they directed the regulator back to the requests outlined in their August 6 statement, saying those matters should form the basis for any continued engagement. The four organizations maintained that their actions are being taken collectively and are aimed at safeguarding the public interest as government considers the implications of the proposed telecommunications merger. Coming up next, forensic authorities worked to give names back to those who have remained unidentified. Stay tuned.
Every day, the demand on your business get higher. More productivity, better equipment, and reliable support to keep up with a fast-moving world. At Cellular World Business Solutions, we're ready to help you boost performance across every operation. Don't let outdated technology hold you back. With our certified and supported solutions, your business stays ahead. We supply office equipment, printers, inks, and toners, software licenses, IT system assembly as your Dell Platinum and Cisco partner, appliances, and custom orders tailored to your needs. From startups to large enterprises and renowned institutions, we serve every corner of the country because no industry can afford to fall behind on technology. Let's take your business to the next level. Contact us today at 610-2494. Cellular World Business Solutions, your reliable partner in business success.
When I come here with me and my family, I get quality service. I have no problem with the doctors nor the nurses. It has a lot of impact on the families because they can also use the service just like me. People younger than me have to pay $2 while I get my medication free.
So that's the great thing about NHI, that you can, access the service based on your ability to pay or not, all right? So that's the game changer of NHI, is that a consultation is $2. And I think if you don't have the $2, we would never deny the service. Built into that is children under 5 years old or above 60 years old or pregnant women. They have been suspended from the $2, what we call co-pay. So for them, it's totally free.
I am glad because before I would have to pay out of pocket, because I'm senior citizen, I can get most of them for free.
I think NHI is for everybody. Once you have a social security card, you should register for NHI.
In Belize, the Public Utilities Commission works every day amid the rhythm of economic activities to ensure homes, businesses, and communities have access to necessary utility services. Through regulations, the Public Utilities Commission powers progress, connect communities, encourage new ideas and bold innovation, manage consumer rights, guide change, and serves in the best interests of national development for a future that benefits us all. Every decision is informed by evidence and guided by regulations and the law. So if and when changes arise in any of Belize's utility sectors, including situations that may affect competition, regulations and laws allow the PUC to carefully assess those changes, ensuring consumers are treated fairly while maintaining a sustainable utility sector. The Public Utilities Commission, guided by the law, informed by evidence, working to ensure fair and sustainable utility services for Belize.
Years after unidentified human remains were discovered in different parts of Belize, forensic authorities are working to give names back to those who have remained unidentified and provide answers to families still searching for their loved ones. The National Forensic Science Service, the NFSS, is currently investigating approximately 20 sets of human remains recovered across the country. Some of the cases date back to 1998, leaving families facing years and, in some instances, decades of uncertainty. Forensic specialists are using DNA analysis, reviewing historical case records, and engaging with the public in an effort to establish the identities of the deceased. The goal is to compare available information and genetic evidence with relatives who may have reported family members missing. The initiative has already produced a breakthrough, helping one family recover the remains of a loved one who had been missing. With other cases still unresolved, the NFSS is urging Belizeans who have missing relatives to come forward, as information from families could prove critical in helping investigators connect unidentified remains to missing persons and ultimately restore identities that have been lost for years.
In 2014, there were about, roughly still a little bit less than 20 sets of unidentified skeletal remains that were there in storage, transitioning from the police department into the NFS. And then we added some more, or we ended up receiving some more in 2014, 2015, 2017, up to about 2020.
But does the NFSS preserve skeletal remains that have been there for decades to ensure that the DNA is not contaminated and is still viable enough to produce enough genetic markers?
All right, so that is a reality that we have to factor in, that there might have been just contamination from somebody that might have handled the remains, or degradation occurs, or some of the remains were recovered from coastal areas where bleaching, salt water, ultraviolet radiation, bacteria really reduces the amount of DNA that you can get, or it makes it harder to get usable DNA from those samples. So that's a reality that we are dealing with some of the older cases, and we are working with a lab that does what we call mitochondrial DNA analysis. So it uses maternal lineages to try to identify if you came from basically the same maternal ancestor, and that's one way to identify scientifically. That's how older remains are identified by ancestral lineage, to say if it's the person that we suspect it to be.
For families who have spent years without knowing what happened to their loved ones, the ongoing work offers renewed hope that long-awaited answers and closure may finally be within reach. Belize has taken a major step towards strengthening forensic investigations with the passage of the DNA Act No. 12 of 2026, legislation that establishes a national DNA database and introduces new procedures for collecting and using genetic evidence in criminal cases. The new law is designed to give investigators a more effective scientific tool for solving crimes while also supporting efforts to identifying missing people and unidentified human remains. A central feature of the legislation is the creation of a national DNA database, which will allow DNA profiles to be securely stored and compared. Authorities will be able to cross-reference genetic information from crime scenes and other authorized sources, potentially helping investigators connect evidence to individuals and strengthen criminal cases. The Act also establishes a legal process for obtaining DNA from suspects who refuse to provide a sample voluntarily. Where a suspect does not consent, police may apply to a magistrate's court for an order authorizing the collection of a DNA sample. This provision gives investigators a legal avenue to obtain potentially important evidence while requiring judicial oversight in cases where consent is withheld. As Belize moves toward implementation of this legislation, the National Forensic Science Service, the NFSS, has begun training police investigators on the new requirements and procedures.
We have been using them for years, right? So those continue to be the preferred methods to collect a suspect book as well.
According to Sergeant Holly Vasquez, the legal officer for the BPD, the act will prove to be useful for officers in the field.
Myself, having used DNA in the past case without having the act was a struggle, but we secured a conviction. Now, this makes it very easy for the officers now, the investigators in the field, to use this act because now it empowers us to get samples, and if the suspect refuses these samples, we can now use this legislation to go before the court to get what is called a consent order from the court. So it empowers us now. It makes it very easy for the officers now in the field.
The Department of the Environment is working to determine what is causing a massive fish kill in the Belize River Valley as testing continues to identify the source of the incident. The DOE says investigators are considering several possible causes, including disease, chemical toxicity, and low dissolved oxygen levels caused by high organic matter in the water. Disease has already been ruled out as the likely cause because more than one fish species was affected. Investigators are now focusing on determining whether chemicals or other pollutants entered the water or whether high levels of organic matter caused oxygen levels in the water to drop, resulting in the deaths. The DOE says evidence is still being gathered and testing is ongoing before a definitive cause can be confirmed.
Water samples that we have, and we'll be running chemical analysis on the tissue of the fish that we collected. In terms of the organic load, we conducted water quality monitoring. The water quality monitoring data that we have, the in situ data or data that we collect in the field, shows that the dissolved oxygen level from the area affected was very low. When the dissolved oxygen level gets low, normally that leads to fish kill. And so an aquatic ecosystem, basically once that dissolved oxygen level gets to around 3, the aquatic ecosystem becomes stressed, and when it comes below 1, then you begin to see different species within the aquatic ecosystem dying out. And so we have evidence to show that the dissolved oxygen level was low. We also have evidence to show that the chlorophyll A level within the river was elevated. So chlorophyll A is an indication of algae and algae bloom. And so algae bloom also causes low dissolved oxygen within an aquatic ecosystem. And to some degree, the high nutrients and runoff coming off from land into the water kind of exacerbate the problem. It makes the problem even worse. Apart from the water quality samples that we collected, we did remote sampling. So we had satellite imagery of the agricultural area near Santander and near Santander. We have satellite imagery to show that the area was significantly flooded just before the event. In fact, we also found a large rice field north of Santander, which is about 380 acres, just north of Santander. We have satellite imagery to show that that particular field was entirely flooded just before the event, the fish kill.
Importantly to note, DOE says that all testing related to the fish kill is now being carried out in Belize, with local experts conducting the necessary analysis. This represents a shift from previous investigations when some testing had to be sent overseas.
The equipment that we have in our lab that is highly accurate and could test for many different parameters. Dr. Aguilar will also, and his team will also assist with interpreting the data of the results. We had, for example, a PCB assisting us with visiting Santander and the farms within the area to collect data on agrochemical use, and even to determine if there was any area spraying done within the particular time. And so we'll be looking at the data that they have with some of the chemical analysis that we are running as well. We had support from many different agencies: the Fisheries Department, Coastal Zone Management Authority, MIDH, NEMO, BWSL being one of the key one, Ministry of Health. And to some degree, we also had the Hydro Belize Limited on standby in relation to the work that they do. But all the expertise that we needed was obtained from Belizean experts. All the capacities that we needed was done in country. All the testing and sampling were done in country. This is something that I want to highlight as significant, because in the past we were not able to do all the work that we're able to do now. But the capacity in Belize has grown significantly in terms of being able to analyze what is happening within the environment and then reporting back to the people. So I think that's very important for us to report.
The DOE says having both the testing and expertise available locally is helping investigators assess the situation more efficiently as they work to determine what caused the large-scale fish kill. There is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
On 1st August 1838, our African ancestors were legally emancipated from slavery, marking the beginning of a new chapter in the pursuit of dignity, justice, and opportunity. We honor their resilience, celebrate their enduring legacy, and reflect on the sacrifices that helped shape our nation. 5 years ago, the government of Belize formally recognized Emancipation Day as a deeply rooted part of our national journey and identity. That struggle, resistance, and triumph are fundamental parts of our road to independence, and that this present moment in 2026 is intertwined with our many challenges and opportunities as a nation and people. Advancing our education upliftment project and healthy school meals agenda, building more affordable homes for those most in need, and expanding our national health insurance program to ensure better health care for all. Physical freedom must be backed by economic empowerment. On behalf of the government of Belize, I have appointed the Belize Pro Tem Reparations Committee, marking Belize's active involvement in the call for reparatory justice. As the CARICOM Reparations Manifesto states, the goal is to achieve material, social, cultural, and financial justice for sustainable development. Through this initiative, Belize will have a voice in the CARICOM Reparations Commission as it works to define and implement a 10-point action plan aimed at securing redress for the centuries of oppression endured by African and indigenous peoples and their descendants. Today, on Emancipation Day, let us remember that we stand on the shoulders of men and women who were held in chains, but whose spirits were never bound.
Authorities are stepping up efforts to prevent dangerous human-crocodile encounters, as recent reports and social media posts highlight growing concerns over interactions between people and Belize's native crocodile population. The Belize Forest Department, BFD, together with ACE's Wildlife Rescue and the Crocodile Research Coalition, the CRC, is urging residents, visitors, and businesses to exercise extreme caution and avoid feeding, approaching, touching, and or otherwise interacting with crocodiles in their natural environments. The renewed warning follows several reports of human-crocodile interactions, including a recent incident in Keycocker Village. Although no physical contact occurred and no injuries were reported in that particular case, authorities say the incident serves as an important reminder that irresponsible behavior around crocodiles can place both people and wildlife at risk. Crocodiles are a natural part of Belize's ecosystem and are commonly found in mangroves, lagoons, wetlands, rivers, and coastal areas. However, as communities expand and human activity increasingly overlaps with wildlife habitat, encounters are becoming more likely. Officials are particularly concerned about reports of crocodiles being deliberately fed or encouraged to come closer to people. The Forest Department is stressing that crocodiles are wild animals and must never be fed, approached, touched, provoked, or encouraged to interact with humans. Authorities warn that feeding crocodiles, whether intentionally or indirectly, can have serious consequences. Providing food can cause crocodiles to lose their natural fear of people and begin associating humans with a source of food. That change in behavior can increase the likelihood of close encounters and potentially dangerous interactions. Residents, tourists, and businesses operating near waterways are therefore being encouraged to practice responsible wildlife viewing by observing crocodiles from a safe distance without attempting to attract, feed, or interact with them. The public is advised to take the following precautions. Never feed, approach, touch, or provoke a crocodile. Never attempt to capture, handle, or relocate a crocodile. Avoid swimming at night or in mangrove areas and other locations known to have crocodiles. Keep children away and pets well away from the water's edge in areas where crocodiles are present. Keep waterways and nearby areas free of food waste, fish remains, and rubbish that could attract wildlife. And report concerning crocodile activity instead of attempting to intervene. Reports of concerning crocodile activity can be made through the following contacts. Belize Forest Department Hotline +501 610 1524, The Crocodile Research Coalition plus 501-660-3936, or ACE's Wildlife Rescue plus 501-623-7920. The Forest Department is encouraging the public to use these reporting channels rather than taking matters into their own hands. Trained personnel can assess the situation and determine the appropriate response. Forecasters are keeping a close eye on two weather disturbances moving across the Atlantic, with one system increasingly likely to develop into a tropical depression later this week. The National Hurricane Center, the NHC, said the more promising disturbance is situated in the central tropical Atlantic, where an area of low pressure is located roughly 500 miles southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Although the system is currently producing only limited showers and thunderstorms, meteorologists anticipate that environmental conditions will become more supportive of development over the next several days. The disturbance is expected to move westward to west-northwestward across the central Atlantic, with the possibility of becoming a tropical depression during the latter part of the week. The NHC currently places its chances of developing at 30% within the next 48 hours, while the probability increases to 70% over the next 7 days. Meanwhile, a second disturbance is being monitored in the central subtropical Atlantic, several hundred miles northeast of Bermuda. This system is associated with a through of low pressure and is generating showers and thunderstorms in the area. Forecasters say there is a small possibility that the second system could strengthen over the next day or so as it travels eastward at approximately 20 miles per hour. However, its development prospects are expected to diminish as it encounters cooler ocean waters later in the week. The NHC estimates only a 10% chance of development for this disturbance over both the next 48 hours and the 7-day period. Forecasters expect the system's potential for formation to end by Thursday. The two disturbances are being watched as the Atlantic hurricane season continues. The National Hurricane Center says it will maintain close monitoring of both systems and provide updates as conditions evolve. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, August 12th, here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at www.ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews, or you can visit our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News. From all of us here at Ctv3, thank you for watching and listening, and have an amazing